Welcome to the second combinations video. In this video, I will talk about the problem-solving strategy of stars and bars. Let's say we have 13 stars that are all indistinguishable from one another, meaning that all of them are the same and we can't tell one star apart from another one. We will put the stars in any one of three sections. And the question is, how many total ways can we place the stars in the three different sections? Let's put all 13 stars in a line and then use two dividers. The first divider to separate section 1 from section 2, and the second divider to separate section 2 from section 3. This is a great way to represent what's going on, because all we have to do to represent how many stars are in section 1 is to look to the left of the first divider, and the way to see how many stars are in section 2 is we look in between the dividers, and how many stars in section 3 we look to the right of the second divider. So now the question is, how many distinct ways can we place the dividers among the stars? So we have two dividers that we need to draw in the picture. But how many possible places could we put those two dividers? Well, placing the two dividers could look like this, or this. Note here section 2 has 1 star, and in here section 2 has 0 stars, and in here section 1 has 0 stars, section 1 and 3 have 0 stars, section 1 and 2 has 0 stars, and here section 1 has all the stars, and then in here section 2 has 0 stars. So it looks like there's space in between the stars and also to the far left and to the far right of the whole picture. So it's a bit problematic if we assume that there's only one slot in between every pair of stars, because there's also the possibility that we can put both of the dividers in between the same pair of stars to indicate that section 2 has 0 stars. We also can't just assume that there's two spaces in between every pair of stars, because if it does end up being the case that both dividers are next to each other, that can only happen once. So in answering the question of how many total ways can we place the dividers among the stars, it turns out that solving this problem is much easier if we treat the dividers as objects that need to be arranged just as the stars are. So if we consider that we have 13 stars and 2 dividers, and we need to arrange the 2 dividers among 15 possible spots, the problem becomes very clear. It turns out that all possible cases are covered when you think of the problem in this way. Having 15 slots and placing all 15 objects, the 13 stars and the 2 dividers, thinking of the problem in this way allows for the 2 dividers to be next to each other if we want to indicate that there is no stars in section 2. And also it allows if the bars want to be next to each other and to the left or to the right or anywhere in between. So instead of thinking of the stars as static and unmoving and that we simply need to draw the dividers in, it's better to think of the stars and the dividers as both kind of needing to find their place among 15 possible slots. So the key is to imagine the latter instead of the former. So take a look at these 3 stars and bars diagrams and see how they're converted to combinations problems. So in these problems, if we need to sort P stars into Q categories, then we're going to have Q minus 1 dividing lines, and the total number of objects, therefore, is P plus Q minus 1. So this amounts to computing the combination P plus Q minus 1, choose Q minus 1. So in general, in these problems, the number of sections that you want to put your objects in, you're going to need one less number of dividers. So always keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that you're going to compute the total number of objects you have, so like the stars, plus the number of dividing lines, and you're going to take that number, choose the number of dividing lines. So here's your homework. This is homework bit 4. So those of you that I'm coaching, you have 3 problems. The first one was taken from the AMC 8 in 2019. And I just want to say that for problems 1 and 2, you're going to need to do a little adjustment. It's not a pure stars and bars problem, in the sense that you just need to do stars and bars problem. You might need to do something quick at the beginning before you finish solving the problem. But yep, these are 3 challenge problems for you. So try to have these done as soon as you can. Thank you.